Welcome to a tour about our humanity. This is not a tour of cities built of steel and glass, nor a tour of monuments carved in stone to commemorate kings and empires. This is a journey into the earth itself, into the bedrock of our shared story. We are going back before recorded history, before the first kingdoms, before the first words were ever written down. We are embarking on a quest to answer the deepest, most fundamental question ever asked, a question that has echoed through every culture, every generation, across every corner of the globe. Where did we come from? For billions of believers around the world, the sacred text of the book of Genesis provides a profound answer. It tells us that humanity began with a single pair, Adam and Eve, the first man and woman, created in the image of God. From them, all the nations of the earth descended, spreading out to fill the world. This narrative has shaped civilizations and provided a deep sense of shared identity for millennia. But what does the physical record, the one written in the earth itself, reveal? What story is told by the science of archaeology? Let's open that record. Over the last century, an entirely different kind of evidence has been meticulously gathered. Scientists have uncovered a vast and growing collection of physical proof. Ancient bones, primitive tools, and the very code of life, our DNA. And remarkably, all of these independent lines of evidence point to one, and only one, geographic origin for our species, the continent of Africa. In 2017, the world of paleoanthropology was shaken. Researchers working at a remote, windswept site in Morocco called Jebel Irhoud made a historic announcement that would push back the dawn of our species by 100,000 years. The site was not new. It had been known since the 1960s. But new excavations, combined with advanced dating techniques, revealed its true significance. Using a method called thermoluminescence, which measures the last time flint tools found with the fossils were heated, scientists arrived at a stunning age, approximately 300,000 years old. These were and still are the oldest known remains of Homo sapiens ever discovered. The fossils themselves told a fascinating story of a species in transition. The face, delicate and short, looked strikingly modern, a face you might pass on the street today. But the brain case was different. It was slightly elongated, more archaic in shape, suggesting that while our faces had evolved, our brains were still in the process of developing into their current form. This discovery fundamentally changed our understanding of our origins. It shattered the idea that early humans were confined to a single, small Garden of Eden in East Africa. Instead, it showed that early Homo sapiens were already spread across the vast African continent, a pan-African phenomenon. Before the revelations at Jebel Irhoud, the cradle of humanity was thought to lie exclusively in East Africa, and for good reason. For decades, this region, particularly Ethiopia's Omo Valley, has yielded a treasure trove of hominin fossils. Here, the famous Omo I fossils, discovered in the 1960s, were recently redated with incredible precision. By analyzing the chemical signature of volcanic ash layers above and below the fossils, a technique known as tephra correlation, scientists determined their age to be about 230,000 years old. Not far away, at a site called Herto, other fossils dated to around 160,000 years ago show individuals who are anatomically almost identical to us. These East African regions are geological gold mines. The constant volcanic activity of the Great Rift Valley has created a perfect layer cake of history. These volcanic layers provide geological clocks, allowing for precise radiometric dating. Science doesn't guess these numbers. It measures them using the predictable decay of radioactive elements trapped within the ash. But the story of our lineage in Africa goes back even further, long before Homo sapiens appeared on the scene. This is a story millions of years in the making. In the sun-scorched canyons of East Africa, sites like the legendary Olduvai Gorge in Tanzania reveal a succession of our earlier ancestors. Here, we find species such as Australopithecus, who walked upright on two legs as far back as 3 million years ago. Homo habilis, the handyman, one of the first to systematically make and use stone tools, and Homo erectus, the upright man, a true pioneer and the first of our ancestors to venture out of Africa in great numbers. The evidence of their existence is not just in their bones, but in the tools they left behind. Acheulean hand axes, teardrop-shaped implements crafted with remarkable skill over 1 million years ago, show clear evidence of planning, symmetry, and a sophisticated intelligence. These weren't just broken rocks, they were standardized tools, a technology that persisted for over 1 million years. These tools, preserved by the millions in museums and labs today, are not theories. They are tangible, physical evidence of minds at work, a direct link to our deep ancestral past. While fossils and tools provide a physical timeline, modern genetics offers perhaps the strongest, most personal evidence of our shared origin. The story of our beginnings is written in the DNA of every single person alive today. Geneticists have found that the greatest genetic diversity on Earth exists within African populations. This is a crucial clue. As small groups of people migrate away from a parent population, they carry only a subset of the total genetic variation. Therefore, genetic diversity steadily decreases the farther a population's ancestors traveled from their original homeland. And all data shows that origin point is Africa. You may have heard scientists refer to mitochondrial Eve, the most recent woman from whom all living humans inherited their mitochondrial DNA, and Y-chromosomal Adam, the most recent man from whom all living males inherited their Y chromosome. It's important to understand these are not a literal Adam and Eve. They were not the only man and woman alive at the time, but rather part of a larger human population. Their specific genetic markers, through chance and time, are the only ones that have survived in an unbroken chain to the present day. And the analysis of these genetic lineages traces both of them back to African populations hundreds of thousands of years ago. This is not myth. It is measured, verifiable DNA evidence. Every human alive today of every race and nationality shares this common ancestry. After hundreds of thousands of years of evolution within Africa, a pivotal chapter in the human story began. Around 60 to 70,000 years ago, one or more small groups of modern humans migrated out of their home continent. They crossed into the Middle East, likely through the Sinai Peninsula, or across the Bab el-Mandeb Strait at the southern end of the Red Sea. From there, they began a journey that would take them to every corner of the planet. Some followed the coastlines, spreading rapidly into Asia and reaching Australia by about 65,000 years ago. Others pushed inland into the heart of Europe and the vast steppes of Asia. Finally, they arrived in the Americas, roughly 15 to 20,000 years ago, the last great continental frontier. Every single civilization, from the ancient empires of Mesopotamia, Egypt, and China, to the modern nations of today, begins with those small bands of hunter-gatherers who first walked out of Africa. So how do we reconcile these two powerful origin stories? The Bible teaches that Adam and Eve were the first humans, uniquely created in God's image. For many believers, this account in Genesis is understood as a literal, historical fact. For others, the story of Adam and Eve is seen as a profound theological truth, a divinely inspired allegory representing the moment humanity became spiritually aware and accountable to God, perhaps emerging from a broader, pre-existing population. There are many thoughtful theological interpretations that seek to harmonize faith with scientific discovery. The tools of archaeology and genetics cannot measure a person's soul or their spiritual identity. But what science does confirm is this: humanity began in one place. Humanity shares one ancestry. The core biblical message is that we are all one family, descended from a common source. In a remarkable parallel, the core message of genetics says exactly the same thing. The confidence in this scientific narrative comes from its rigorous methodology. Scientists use multiple, independent dating methods to cross-check their findings. They use argon-argon dating to determine the age of volcanic ash layers, a highly precise radiometric clock. They use thermoluminescence to date stone tools that were heated in ancient campfires. They measure the predictable decay of radioactive elements like carbon-14 in organic remains. And they use stratigraphic analysis, the simple but powerful principle that deeper layers of sediment are older than the layers above them. When these completely different methods are applied to the same site and converge on the same time frames, scientific confidence in the results increases exponentially. The story of human origins is not built on a single discovery or a single bone. It is a vast, cumulative case built on decades of painstaking research from thousands of scientists all over the world. We began with a promise of a tour of our humanity. It has been a journey through deep time, guided by fossils and faith, through ancient stone tools and sacred scripture, through the language of our DNA and the silence of the deserts. We have seen how two of humanity's most powerful ways of knowing, science and religion, approach our ultimate origin question. While their languages and methods differ, their conclusions can point toward a shared, unifying truth. All roads, whether carved by faith or by empirical evidence, lead back to one beginning on one continent, Africa. And in a world so often fractured by division, perhaps the most powerful and hopeful discovery of all is this: we are not divided at our roots. We are not separate creations. We began and we remain one human family. Thank you for watching.